you look at that team, there's no standouts. Compared to the Leicester squad, it's night and day, isn't it? With a lot of recognisable names and talents in that Leicester squad, but just come running off a high right now. Just a competent unit, it would seem. Obviously, only conceded the one goal as well. Grinding out wins, going away to QPR and whatnot. Not blowing teams away by any means, but just doing a good job at grinding out results, as I said. So I think he will win Manager of the Month. I think he deserves it, and it'll just be interesting to see how long this high continues for. Obviously, a lot of people were tipping them for playoffs in their predictions coming into this season, which
episode 4 of the EFL's finest podcast, as we take a deep dive, look back at, of course, the last games, match number 3, and preview match day number 4, and of course maybe throw in a couple of topics to pass the time as we look forward to next weekend's action. Jacob is here, standing by once again. Of course, fresh off the back of not the finest result by Rovers, but before we jump into the rest of the division, what is your cold take on the weekend's performance with a Rovers hat on?
Yeah, I think it's a performance the boys can be proud of. All the fans clapped the players off after the game. There were no boos to be heard. To play, about 80 minutes with all the injury time added on. To play 80 minutes with 10 men against a pretty game whole side. They've showed that they're quite a decent side so far anyway. Got goals in the team for sure. And we kept them at bay for most of the match. Obviously to take the lead as well was something. But I think obviously taking the lead just gave them a bit of a kick up the arse, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was just a bridge too far, I think. And we in the space of 7 or 8 days, we've seen both ends of the spectrum chasing the game against 10 men and trying to park the bus a little bit. So, but unfortunately, we couldn't get anything out of the game. But hopefully, the fighting spirit will drag us forward into next week. And we'll talk all about next week shortly. But now, of course, we are going to debrief and recap our predictions from last week. And I've already had a look. I think I'm going to hang my head in shame this time around. So not great. So let's start at the top of the shop here. Leeds United against West Bromwich Albion ended up all square according to my memory. 1-1 in the end. Of course, I think Thomas Shashante's goal was a little suspect. Luke Ayling gave Leeds a little bit of something to shout about. But so far, Leeds stuttering a lot out of the blocks. There seems to be a lot of animosity or just a lot of a big mess going on at Ellen Road, which has stalled their hope of bouncing back at the first attempt.
Yeah, definitely. There's been on Twitter, obviously, the flag of Willie Gnonto's head put on a baby after handing in a transfer request, because obviously Everton have come in for him 25 million, I think it is, and Leeds aren't budging on that. So I think just a lot of unsettled, a lot of unrest around the squad. But as we've said, I think Leeds should kick on, you would think, once the transfer window's shut. And obviously they know who they've kind of got. But at the minute, they're not looking like they're a side who are ready to go back up, are they?
No, they are definitely flagging when we look at the table shortly and consider the other 2 teams that were relegated alongside them. They are the ones dragging their heels a little bit. Meanwhile, one of those teams was Southampton, who left it late. Of course, 2-1 win. In the end, you got that one bang on the nose. I went with a 1-1 draw. It looked so good. I was watching this game. It looked so promising. It looked likely. And again, a lot of plaudits will go to Southampton and Russell Martin. But I think Plymouth showing that they can at least dig deep, because when they did trail that game, they instantly got an equaliser, only for super sub Che Adams, who I think is also being linked with a move to Everton as well. So who's been remarkable. It's actually one of my players that we'll talk about later. Is super sub coming off and scoring valuable goals for Southampton. Yeah, they're doing their bit as well. Again, maybe not as comfortable as some people making out, but Southampton in the top end already, doing very well.
Yeah, I think they're slowly kind of starting to gather themselves. I mean, obviously, when you bring in a player on like Che Adams, whose probably value is more than the Plymouth squad, to be honest, it's obviously a bit unfair, I guess you could say. It were a bit of a robbery in the end. Obviously, Adam Armstrong gets up for the header, doesn't he? And Che Adams taps it in. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But Plymouth showing that they can definitely hang at this level, I think, because Southampton at home will be probably one of the harder games they have this season at home, you would think. And to only lose by the one goal is reassuring, I would think, to be honest. And I mean, you take Che Adams out of this squad in a week or two's time, and it does look like he'll be on his way. Then obviously they sit here with a 1-1 draw, so it's unfortunate timing, I suppose, that they've played and when Che Adams is still about.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mowbray got his first 3 points, courtesy of Bellingham with a couple of goals himself. 2-1 in the end, 2-0 for you, 2-0 for me. So it's not too shabby in our predictions. Big relief must be for Mowbray to get his first win after a handful of games so far.
Yeah, it was needed, that win, wasn't it? I mean, obviously they've had a bit of a torrid start. Rotherham at home be one of the easiest away home games rather all season, you would think, and good for obviously Bellingham to grab a couple goals. Obviously excitement around that already. I mean, I did question the signing whether obviously there will have been some inflation just because his name is Bellingham on the price tag for sure, rather than some other just random 17-year-old kid, but showing his worth, I suppose.
Yeah, could be a good bit of business for the Mackhams. Of course, we talked a bit about it already. Blackburn Rovers losing at home to Hull. First defeat of the season. I was trying to kind of put a spin on it. Let's get our first defeat out of the way. It wasn't ideal, but the scenario wasn't ideal. And try to kick on next week against Watford, and a Watford side that are also not really ripping up trees right now. So it might be a good time to play them at their place. But credit to Hull, they've got the firepower. I spoke to a Hull fan earlier this week, and I was they have a treasure trove of strikers. Connolly was the guy with the headlines. But Esteban last season goals and Delap as well. And I said I'll do anything for one of those guys right now. So maybe just shows our limited firepower options, but also the lack of depth maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously we have brought Ennis and Gallagher off the bench, who are two decent strikers at this level. But equally they've obviously brought Connolly off the bench, who's I mean, he's played in the Premier League for Brighton, hasn't he? He is a competent striker at this level. Obviously, I mean, we're starting the game with a 18-year-old, 19-year-old Harry Leonard up front, aren't we? So, kind of shows the difference there, I suppose, as opposed to Liam Delap, who's Man City loan.
Yeah. Very lucky for them. Another great performance, or at least not necessarily seen the whole game, but the result shines nicely for the Brummies. 2-0 win over Bristol City. We went with the draw, I went with the home win. They're slowly but surely. Again, I think the atmosphere around St Andrews with a takeover, with maybe a little bit of investment, has got these guys firmly on the radar early doors. Birmingham City.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're riding the high right now of that takeover, aren't they? Just a bit of a buzz about the place, which there hasn't been for such a long time, really, with Birmingham. Obviously, they've kind of just been a mid-table club now in the Championship, or languishing just above the relegation zones for what seems like a decade now, really. But yeah, I mean, it's a good result that away at Bristol. I mean, Bristol were down to 10 men, but they did get a goal or two before the 10 men after Rob Dickey getting sent off. But I think it's a really good result. Bristol obviously kind of wants to watch out for too. They've had a couple decent results themselves. So yeah, I think Birmingham could be onto good things this season, you feel?
They could. And again, not the greatest performance for Middlesbrough and, of course, Carrick, of course. Only a draw. You predicted that. You got the one spot on the nose, of course. Matey boy Warnock getting another result, or a cheeky little dig at his old employers there. 1-1. Again, you would be thinking, like I was thinking, a 3-pointer there for Middlesbrough. But no, what's gone wrong?
I think it's just a bit of a hangover from last season. Obviously, Middlesbrough finished last season quite poorly, leading once they'd kind of consolidated that playoff spot, and obviously they were out of the automatic race. They did drop off, and obviously lost in the playoffs. Just a hangover. I'm not sure what's gonna happen here to kind of turn the ship, so to speak. But I don't know. Obviously, the pressure must be mounting now on Carrick. I feel like obviously due to last season's success, he's got enough credit in the bank there. But if it's after the international break and they still come back and they're not looking the Middlesbrough that should be up there fighting for at least playoffs this season, then his head should be on the chopping block, you would think.
Yes, you would think. One guy who's not on the chopping block so far is, of course, Leicester's coach. We'll talk all about him a little bit later on. But another win for them, sitting pretty at the top of the table. Again, not necessarily the cleanest result, 2-1 over a Cardiff City. But they just keep on winning and yet to really hit any major obstacles in their bounce back season here.
No, it's been a nice little start, hasn't it, for the new manager come in, and obviously it's his first job. Obviously got such good players at his disposal, to be fair, and a Cardiff side that I don't think are that strong. Aaron Ramsey's got himself a goal, but I think, I can't see Cardiff doing too much this season personally. But yeah, it's been a good start. 9 points out of 3 games, and Ipswich, the only teams to be able to do that too so far.
Yeah, no, but perfect segue as well. Of course, they picked up a cheeky result against QPR, who returned to woeful ways again, 1-0 loss. And proving me a little bit wrong right now. I was backing QPR to turn it around, but like you said last week, the unbeaten streak of Ipswich is pretty crazy, and there doesn't seem to be anything stopping them. And I was just looking again at your picks for the topic later on. The defensive stature of Ipswich is pretty tight. There's 1 goal conceded so far this season. And again, really, when you look at the team, there's no real superstars there. I'm like stunned to see how they're doing this. And again, we'll talk about the goalkeeper, but he's not young. He's not a young guy. He's been around the block a little bit. And it's just having one of them sort of Indian summers or something that's just everything just seems to be going the right way for Ipswich as they pick up another win.
Yeah, similar to Birmingham, just riding a real high right now, obviously following on from last season. The opposite to Middlesbrough, obviously ending last season so poorly. Ipswich coming into this season, obviously, on a mad streak, really. The most informed side in Europe. It just seems like there's no stopping them right now. As I've said previously, when they do eventually lose, it will be interesting to see how they react. But obviously QPR away isn't a gimme by any means. Obviously they were coming off the back of a win themselves, but a 1-0 result away at QPR, you would obviously take it. But yeah, showing how defensively resolute they are with only conceding the 1 goal against Sunderland opening game.
Yeah, moving also in the right direction is Preston North End with a cheeky away day win over Sheffield Wednesday, of course, who really are starting to give me maybe. Well, I have flagged them as one of the potential strugglers, but at the minute there's no signs of life at Hillsborough right now. 3 for 3, and that's not the good 3 for 3. That's 3 defeats on the spin. They are scoring a couple of goals, but woeful defence. On the flip side, Preston right now, season ended today, they'll be in the playoffs in 6th spot right now. I know it's early. But good times ahead, maybe at Deepdale, begrudgingly.
Yeah, potentially. Obviously the 7 points from the 3 games. They've had a couple of away days chucked in there as well. Only the 1 game at home against Sunderland. Obviously Sheffield Wednesday looking like one of the easier away games this season, to be honest. could potentially be the whipping boys of this league, the way it's going. Which is unfortunate, especially for my prediction, because I had them to do reasonably well. I thought they would be maybe a bit of a sleeping giant in League One, obviously coming back up for the first time in a while. But yeah, looking quite the opposite with Darren Moore. Obviously, all the controversy surrounding that coming into the season, it seems to have hung over this squad, unfortunately.
Yeah, moving over to probably a fine difficult game to decipher, but it was Stoke coming out on top with a 1-0 win over Watford. You went with the draw, I went with the away day win on that one against Stoke. Sneakily doing business or sneakily getting results at the minute, sitting in 8th with a couple of wins to their name. But again, early doors, good result though against the Watford side, who I thought would be, challenging already for the top 2 spots, but bumpy path so far for Watford. Where are they in the table? They're in 9th spot, so around about mid-table where we are as of right now. But Stoke doing things.
Yeah, it seems like things are maybe finally starting to click there for Alex Neil. Obviously, coming in last season and had that good little spell, but then kind of dropped off again as Stoke just kind of do. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Stoke get on this season. Obviously, it's since they've come down, they've not really mounted a serious playoff push, have they? So it probably is about time. In regards to Watford, I mean, I don't know. I think Stoke's looking like a hard place to go at the minute. They have had a couple of decent results, so I suppose we'll just see on this one. Obviously, we've got Watford next, so hopefully we can get something this weekend.
Yeah, so for the cameras, I think as well. So Swansea, Coventry, yeah, all square in the end. I think 1-1 it was, 2-1 your pick, 1-0 my pick. Of course, both of us nowhere near on that one, but good result perhaps for Coventry. This was always going to be a tough one to call, but old boy Matt Godden on the score sheet, new guys Sims and Hadji Wright not on the score sheet at least Matey Boy Sims not on the score sheet again, but relying on the old guard there, Godden with the goal.
Yeah, interesting result, really. I mean, obviously, Coventry, they had that really good result against Middlesbrough, wasn't it? 3-0 Tonkin, but then to come away to Swansea, obviously, it's a hard place going to the Liberty, to be fair. Thought they just edged a win, but yeah, Swansea sticking in there with a draw. I don't think that's a bad result for either side, personally.
No, and then hot off the press here, Norwich City with a comfortable win over a Millwall side, who, again, last season hangover perhaps, but they're languishing now into 16th spot. I wouldn't say languishing, it's still a very early, again, fine margins between 10th and 17th right now, but maybe a little bit of concerns for Millwall. But again, Norwich on the flip side, sitting pretty in 3rd, which could make for a tasty East Anglian derby whenever that comes around, as both teams from that neck of the woods doing very well.
Yeah, it should definitely be an interesting game. That's been a while since it's obviously been played as well. I think the last time, Paul Lambert were in charge of Ipswich. I think it's that long ago. But yeah, a good result for Norwich. Interesting with Millwall. I think, as you're saying, a bit of a hangover, but it's how you react to these things. I mean, Rovers, we obviously won on the final game of the season against Millwall, despite we were the 3rd longest team in the playoffs, weren't we? And we just slip out in Rovers fashion right at the end. But we haven't seemed anywhere to let it kind of carry on into this season. We've gone back in, we're full of endeavour, I suppose. But Millwall, yeah, it does seem maybe they're feeling a bit sorry for themselves. Didn't get a win at the Den the other week, and yeah, they obviously had that opening day victory away at Middlesbrough, but it's not looking that impressive really when Huddersfield Town are rocking up there and getting a point. Obviously they're in bad form, Borough, so yeah, maybe cause for concern for Gary Rowett, to be honest.
Yep, of course, that will bring us bang up today with the results. And of course, the table right here, right now, looks like this, with Ipswich Town flying high up there, with Leicester in good company, Norwich, Birmingham, Southampton, and then North End going down, Rotherham, Middlesbrough, and then Sheffield Wednesday. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to look at this stupid-ass Super Brew. This is nonsense. But Jacob is kicking my ass at the moment by clear 8 points. So I need to get back to winning ways next week. Can I see what you did? I still don't know how this works. What did we do? We go like this. Round 3. Wow. Whatever. I really don't know. I need to spend a bit of time on this. Anyway, enough about that. So we're approaching now the part of the season where the officials of the EFL are starting to dig their statistic books out and check out how everyone's done. And I posed a question to Jacob and asking who is already serious contenders for manager and player of the month. Of course, who will be likely to grab themselves one of these, which of course is the coveted manager of the month trophy. And we're going to start with either one of his or one of mine picks. I think we did pick a couple that are standing out. Here he is. It is Kieran McKenna, who's done an absolutely fantastic job. We cannot deny that. And I had my reservations. I thought he was going to be out of his depth. Of course, coming from the Manchester United background, the old coaching staff. Took over last year and took over and has never looked back. He's just gone from strength to strength and taken this team. And again, this team of misfits. I think they're misfits. I'd say they're misfits. There's just no real superstar there that's like screaming out at me to think, yes, we should be serious contenders. But they're there. The wheels of momentum are there, and has actually sent them into the top 2 spots. Again, early doors, but good early signs for Ipswich and good early signs for this guy who could himself go from strength to strength. And of course, when you look at the merry-go-round that is football, last year we're talking about how amazing Carrick is. People still would hold him in high regard. But again, look at the wheels of fate have given him a rough ride so far this campaign. As long as Ipswich can keep on keeping on and doing very, very well, this kid, and he is a kid. He is a very young manager, but he's just doing everything right now. And if he plays his cards right, he could be in the Premier League within 12 months, whether it is with Ipswich or whether it is with somebody else. But why on earth have you put him in the mix for manager of the month?
Yeah, I think McKenna will win manager of the month. I think, like you've said, you look at that team. There's no standouts. Compared to the Leicester squad, it's night and day, isn't it? With a lot of recognisable names and talents in that Leicester squad, but just come running off a high right now. Just a competent unit, it would seem. Obviously, only conceded the 1 goal as well. Grinding out wins, going away to QPR and whatnot. Not blowing teams away by any means, but just doing a good job at grinding out results, as I said. So I think he will win manager of the month. I think he deserves it, and it'll just be interesting to see how long this high continues for. Obviously, a lot of people were tipping them for playoffs in their predictions coming into this season, which me and you personally couldn't see. But if they carry on the way they're going, then could very well be more than playoffs they're bargaining for.
Yeah, and I'm just on a quick sneak peek at what's ahead. They've got one more game left in the league for this month, and that is up against Leeds. It's at home, and so far, the last 3 games in all competitions, including the cup, they've not conceded a goal, just the 1 goal that was against Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, which is, of course, a crazy place to go. So it is looking very much in his hands to get it. But Leeds will be a tricky game, and we'll have a look at what both you and I will think about that match. And then I'm just looking forward a little bit for Ipswich. It's the month of September. They've got only one really awkward game. That's Southampton away. They've got Rovers, of course, not far off away, but it does look like it could be a good early start to the campaign for Ipswich. And again, playing the likes of what we're looking at Wednesday, Cardiff, Rovers, Huddersfield in the next month. Not only could he be looking at one manager of the month, but he could also be looking at a sweep here. But again, don't want to get ahead of myself. Of course, you never know what happens after the international break, and of course, a defeat this weekend against Leeds could see him take a stumble, because they also take on Reading in the cup as well before the month is out. If they were to get a result, or on the flip side, if they were to take a bad one against Leeds, it will be interesting to see how they respond in the cup against Reading on the road. That'd be their first chance to get back to winning ways if they are to stumble against that. But any other closing thoughts on this guy? Because I think you're right. From what I'm seeing right now, avoid defeat against Leeds, and it's his for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the Leicester manager who we'll come on to, who's obviously got maximum points as well from the 3 games. But I mean, I can't see them losing at home to Leeds. I'll be honest. I think they win that game. I think it's the right time to play Leeds. All the signs are showing that. And then going into the next month, obviously Southampton away will be one of the hardest away days for any team in this league. But I mean, other than that, a lot of winnable games there. Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, Cardiff. You can easily see them taking maximum points from those games, you would feel. So obviously, another good month next month, and they'll be on a real roll at that point, won't they?
Yeah, yeah. I'm have a sneaky look at Leicester's month ahead, and it's much more difficult. And that's where we'll move on to next. It is, of course, matey boy Enzo Maresca or something along those lines. Like you said, perfect start for him, 3 for 3. Not as airtight at the back as Ipswich, but results against Coventry, Huddersfield, Cardiff. And I'm trying to compare that to Ipswich, QPR, who they have, Sunderland. I can't remember now already who the other one was, but realistically, those teams aren't the greatest. I think they're, and the next game is Rotherham away. So you'd think they would pick up a result there. So I think on paper, Ipswich's teams are a little more difficult than Leicester's, I would say. So yeah, I think you're still on point for if it was a standoff between these two, and it probably will be a standoff between these two. But they have come from the Premier League stacked. I'm trying to argue the case against him because I think they come here with a lot of money. They're coming in with a lot of quality. On the flip side, Ipswich, like you said, come up from League One with a bunch of nobodies and are challenging. So you know what, I think we should be giving McKenna and Ipswich a lot more credit where credit's due. But yes, this guy coming in, brand new job, new environment, taking on a juggernaut, and we can compare it to Leeds and how they've not adapted with I would say a championship friendly manager in Matey Boy. What's his name? I can't remember what his name. Not Wagner, but the Farker guy who's been here, seen it, and got the T-shirt twice. It just goes to show how he's come in here, taken on the mantle at Leicester, and settled in nicely. But still, I think the resources are much more greater than that of Ipswich. So I think if we are going to do a decision between these two, it would definitely be, I feel, Ipswich. But you put him in the hat. Tell us why.
Yeah, I think it has been more impressive with McKenna, but equally, obviously, there's not so much pressure there, I would say, at Ipswich. Whereas obviously this Maresca's coming at Leicester, the pressure is definitely on. You've got to think the target has to be automatics for a team like Leicester. Obviously, this is his first manager job. Never mind, just new to come into Leicester. So obviously, to come in and get 3 wins is still impressive. And even though they do have a far superior team and squad to probably any other team in this league, really. But a good start. Another one of Pep's apprentices. And you would think they're just going to go from strength to strength. He's only going to get better as the season goes on. So, yeah, definitely a good and reassuring start for Leicester. And like you're saying, it isn't as easy as it looks. Obviously, Southampton had that blunder in the cup, didn't they? And they have had a couple moments where they've maybe not looked as strong as some would maybe think. Russell Martin's obviously managed at this level for a couple of seasons now as well, knows the league. And obviously, Farker as well knows this league like the back of his hand and is struggling at Leeds. So it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah. But let's just say, Leicester and Ipswich have an absolute nightmare this weekend, of course, with Leicester against Rotherham and Ipswich against Leeds. It would open up the door for some other people to take the manager of the month. This guy, that's my wild card, your favourite buddy, It is, of course, him from Preston North End, who is sitting pretty in 6th. And a win for them on the weekend could see them in the top 2 spots again, if everything goes their way. He's my sort of wild pick of this. Of course, they had a nightmare in the cup, losing to Salford, but went to Ashton Gate, picked up a draw there, beaten Sunderland, beaten Sheffield Wednesday, maybe, of course, not necessarily the most stellar of opponents once again, but pretty back-to-back wins for them in the playoffs. Up ahead, they have Swansea at Deepdale, winnable game. So I don't know. Like we tipped him, or we put the spotlight on him as a contender to be in a first manager to be sacked. He's definitely started off all right. He's getting a tune out of that squad at the minute. And again, yeah, he could defy all odds. And I definitely say that is if I was a betting man, I would be looking at that Preston Swansea game as a potential, as a home banker. But and what are your thoughts on this guy's start to the season?
Yeah, this guy would have been my 4th choice for a potential manager of the month. To be fair, we're humming and ahhing between who I have put in him and himself, but I feel like, obviously, like you've said, going to Ashton Gate, getting a draw is a decent result. Sunderland at home, no gimme by any means, but obviously Sunderland have had a bit of a patchy start. You do question whether it was the right time to play Sunderland, and then obviously Sheffield Wednesday away kind of seems like a formality at this point, but still had to go away there and get the result. So I mean, obviously, it seems like my wild card prediction of potentially putting him up for the first manager to be sacked would be out the window. It seems, unless something really dramatic happens in the near future. But Swansea at home, you would probably take Preston to take the 3 points again. So as you've said, if Leicester and Ipswich slip up, there is a chance they could obviously find themselves in the automatics. But yeah, a really impressive start, to be fair to Preston. Obviously, weren't sure how this team would do, and obviously coming off the back of last season and some comments made, but seems they've pulled the bootstraps up and going for it again. It seems to have an outside push at playoffs the way they're going.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And again, so here's I think it'll take a lot of a lot of luck for him to be able to take that scalp. But I do think the win is within his reach. But I just think at the moment that Rotherham, I don't think will cause the upset against Leicester. But you never know. Football is a strange old thing, and so is this division. One thing that we both agreed on, I think, is this guy has done a fantastic job at Birmingham, John Eustace. Again, they're sitting pretty at the top end of the table in 4th. And their resume, of course, drawing Swansea on the road, beating Leeds, of course, and beating Bristol City, conceding just the 1 goal in the league. They're also through to the cup as well, beating Cheltenham. So the 3 games without conceding, and everything seems to be coming up nice again. Like we said, the takeover, everything seems to be they're loving life right now. Good signings as well with Dembele on the wing. Who else did they pick up? Ian Sanderson, Mayoshi fellow at the back, and old guards such as Jukowicz also on the score sheet. A couple of goals there. So far everything looks Buchanan. What a signing he is as well. Left back from I think he got from Werder Bremen, I think. But looking good at the moment for this guy. You put him in there, as did I. Elaborate.
Yeah, this was the guy I obviously put in over matey boy Mason. But yeah, I think the results have been more impressive, to be honest. I think beating Leeds, it were a penalty win, the 1-0, but you still had to do that. Obviously beating Bristol as well, who are a side that you would think are going to be in and around the playoffs this season, and a decent draw on the road. I don't think any Birmingham fans can complain right now, really riding this high. And it will be interesting to see where it takes them. Who is it they have next, Birmingham?
I was just not thinking about who is that. They actually take on. It's at home. It's Plymouth, and also in the cup still they've got Cardiff. Again, that doesn't really have any bearing for the thing. But both of those games are at St Andrews, both winnable. So again, he could sneak in there. They actually got the next three matches all at home. I think we all have the next three matches away: Watford, Plymouth, and Harrogate, I think. So yeah, good. This could be a good chance for them to really cement an early push for those playoff spots. Because again, pick up their points now is great for the because I'd rather be in Birmingham's shoes than Middlesbrough's shoes right now, trying to play catch up already. No, he's done a fantastic job. I think Birmingham are slowly but surely. And again, if they can keep this positive, again, transfer window will have some bearing on this. They've been active, they've been busy. Are they done with their business? Will we see any more additions to them? I think they're also quite stacked up top with the likes of Scott Hogan, Djokovic fella. They might have another one up there, but I think they're in good shape. And again, morale's high with the fans as well as the players. So, he's
sleeping giant for a while, really. Birmingham, obviously, second biggest city in England, and obviously have just languished for a while. But I mean, they're probably one of the last teams you want to play right now. Probably them and Ipswich. I mean, you would rather be getting the likes of Middlesbrough right now, who you assume will kick on in the future. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're not playing these guys anytime soon. But I know of anyway.
Yeah, we played them so many like the past few years, like in cups and whatnot. I'm not in a rush to see them. But so I think that's our contenders. I think the next one is we're going to the player of the month. That's right. But again, if people watching at home, let us know who you think should be the manager of the month, and then we'll see if you're right whenever that's revealed. Which I think it does take a little bit of time for them to reveal. It might not be till middle of September, but we are moving on to a player of the month who we think is really grabbed the spotlight. I think we may have. I don't think we agreed on any of these. But let's have a little look who's first on the block. It is, this guy. Don't really like looking at him right now. He's makes me want to vomit. Maybe it's that hairdo, or maybe it's the goals that he's been scoring. Of course, Aaron Connolly. Again, I talked to, I don't know if it was you or somebody, how bloody, who was I talking to? I don't know. I was talking to somebody about how they got so many strikers. Like, I'd love to just take one of these guys. The Conleys here, Delap, Esteban, they're all bloody, all capable of scoring double digits. And again, feel good atmosphere at the minute around Hull. Are they unbeaten? I'm not really sure. I think they have lost once. But they're up there in seventh spot right now. And this guy joined on a permanent. That's a good signing. It's a strong signing. And begrudgingly, he's doing A-OK in the charts here. He's 7 goal contributions, I think. I'm trying to see if that makes sense to me. I don't know if I have a goal contribution, but team goals. He's scored 3 so far, 2 against us, sitting pretty up there. And he's got his matey boy there, Tufan, not too far away. I did think about putting Tufan up here for the contender, but is your pick. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really stood out to me was he's joint top goal scorer at the minute. Obviously, only a handful of games, but he's got himself 3 goals. But it was the minutes per goal, 18 minutes per goal. Obviously, come off the bench against us and just made an instant impact. We could not deal with his pace. He's like a little Adam Armstrong himself, really. And probably one of those players who were kind of maybe too good for this level, but can't cut it in the Prem. Obviously struggled at Brighton, but has made the move to Hull. And like as you're saying, we'd probably snap one of their strikers up. They've got a real abundance, Hull, but for a player of his quality to be coming off the bench is obviously a good sign. Obviously, they had those Turkish owners come in, and it's probably starting to pay dividends really for them. 18 minutes per goal really stood out to me, and he probably won't win it because obviously he hasn't been starting games and whatnot. But I just wanted to chuck him in the hat for that really impressive minutes to goal ratio.
Yeah, I did not know that. I knew he came off the bench this weekend to double trouble and scored a couple of goals. But I didn't know it was that limited. I just brought him up here, and 54 minutes I think he's played total football. So that's crazy, and that's one of the points that I've got for one of my guys. I don't know if he's next. No, but this guy, this is a bit of a wild card here. It's Morgan Whittaker of Plymouth. He's just done bits, of course. Big signing for Plymouth. I don't know, why he's here. The reason why he's here, I actually put Schumacher in as manager of the month contender. It's just the size of this club. The size of this club is, it's kind of Luton-esque. It feels Luton-esque to me. Like they're doing stuff way beyond their means. And this guy was amazing against Southampton. He didn't score. I think he was the assist. But Whittaker is just a breath of fresh air for them, losing, of course, Niall Ennis last season, one of the main outlays of goals. This guy's come in. I think he was there on loan, or he was there on loan once before. I don't know if it was last season or time's gone by, but they love this guy, and he's exploded onto the scene here in the Championship. Formerly of Swansea, I don't think he really got a good run of the run of the mill over there. And of course, they invested heavily, have Plymouth. In this guy, I just want to have a quick look at his numbers here. But so far, he's got himself a goal, couple assists as well. More of a wide man. Again, he's like ever present for Plymouth. He has been brought off a couple of times. 2 man of the matches at 3 games. And of course, when you look at some of the teams they played Watford, they played Southampton, they played Huddersfield, and they comfortably beat Huddersfield, already through to the next round of the cup. So Plymouth. I'm surprised, and I'm enthusiastic about these guys. I had them down there, relegated contenders, and I still think they will struggle eventually. But so far, Plymouth have been a good watch, good entertaining team. Not getting the plaudits that Ipswich or the focus maybe. And this guy for me has stand out. Do you know much about Morgan Whittaker? Have you managed to keep an eye on him or his numbers or anything?
Can't say I know much about him in truth, but I mean, in regards to Plymouth, it's good to see them come up and really compete at this level, like you're saying. They've had a couple of games there. Southampton at home is, a hard game for sure, and to hang in there till, unfortunately, the last couple of minutes when, as we mentioned before, bringing on a 25 million pound player in Che Adams, it is gutting. But it's good to see that they're giving it a real go, unlike Sheffield Wednesday. They're looking like a team who could be having a comfortable season the way they're going. I mean, in our predictions, as you mentioned, we both had them down there to go down. I thought they could potentially be the whipping boys, a bit like Wickham, I suppose, when they come up. Obviously, put up like a valiant effort to kind of stay up, but then it eventually just kind of dwindled and ended up going down. So a good start, and no signs really that they will be struggling this season. Could be a good mid-table season for Plymouth to steady the ship, so to speak.
Yeah, it is good to see teams that haven't been back in the Championship for, like, I know we see the yo-yo teams, the Rotherhams, the Barnsley's, and things like that. Good to see teams that if I look at right now over in League One, Stevenage are flying high, Cambridge are flying high. It's good to have a refreshing mix of teams that have not been at this level and stick around. I'm kind of sick of the sight of Rotherham doing the back and forth and the Barnsleys and whatnot. So Peterborough will be the same if they were a bit bounced back. So hopefully Plymouth can defy all expectation and cling on. And for me, this guy is going to be a key part of that. Losing him so far will be a massive loss, but so far he's doing the business. He might not be scoring all the goals, but he's at least being a key part of the team and creating the goals. Next up, we have this guy. This is your pick, of course, goalkeeper Václav Hadlalki. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. Airtight defence of Ipswich right now. And again, this guy's no spring chicken. He's been around the block a little bit, 32 years of age. He's playing a couple of years ago in League Two with Salford. And of course, promoted last time around with Ipswich. He wasn't actually the number one, according to what I'm looking at right now. He only played a handful of games for them in League One. So he's come in here, taking us Christian Walton. Christian Walton is the number one. He's their number one goalkeeper. He's out injured. I was just trying to think. I'm sure I know who the number one is. It is Christian Walton. Of course, we know him from his time at Rovers on loan. But he's coming here, taking this opportunity. and he's riding across the wave himself, just like McKenna and Ipswich Town. At the minute, even if Christian Morton is fully fit, he's going to have a lot of work to do to get those gloves back into the starting 11. But you picked him in here, so elaborate more on your choice.
I think obviously Ipswich being top of the league definitely plays into this a little bit. Obviously, that can't hurt his case at all for being one of the players of the month. Conceding the one goal away at the Stadium of Light is nothing to be too upset about at all. Obviously, one of the harder away games for any team. But yeah, just airtight defence, as we've mentioned. No real standout players in that defence either. And to be a backup keeper, get called upon, as you've said, been round the block, and to be putting in performances as he is. If you were to ask me, there's no chance if Walton were to come back tomorrow, he'd be getting back into that team. I think it'd be very harsh. So yeah, brilliant things coming from Ipswich, and this man's definitely one of them. They've just seemed to have stepped the level up, all these players, haven't they? And really taking the bull by the horns and riding the high.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his track record. Of course, he's of Czech descent. He could play for the Czech national team. Hasn't received a call up. He was, of course, called up to the youth team a long time ago. Played for the likes of St Mirren, Salford City as well. It's just not rags to riches, but he's taken his chance here. And at the minute, Walton's got a lot of work to do if he's going to get that jersey back off this keeper. But here is one of the contenders in our eyes, anyway. I think next one is your pick, of course, a familiar name for us. Is Adam Armstrong. Got himself 3 goals already. He's up there with alongside another way you picked, Aaron Connolly. I noticed, I don't know if it was the whole of the game, but yesterday or the day before, whenever they played Plymouth, he was starting in midfield, in a midfield trio. I was like, what the heck's that all about? So maybe a bit more dimension to his game. And I think that was the commentator was saying that, to get him and, the other forward players, the tellers and all that kind of stuff in one team, he may have to adapt to a new position so that Martin and co or whatever can accommodate all of these attacking players. But hey, they got the results. And like you said, I think he had a key part in the winning goal. But again, one of your picks. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any too many people, that would bet against him being the top scorer this season. He started as he kind of left off really in this league, hasn't he? As you said, he rose for that header to assist Che Adams and get Southampton the win. For a man of his stature, did quite well to get his head on the ball. But yeah, he's obviously got the 3 goals, nicked one off Teller on the opening game, didn't he? But I think he's obviously he's very competent at this level. As I've said, he's picked up where he's left off, and there's absolutely no reason why, if this Southampton team kind of get to the heights that they very well could do. As I've said, I can see this Southampton team kind of being the Burnley of last season, if you ask me. May take a while for this style to kind of adapt to it all. So very new, obviously not used to having so much of the ball in the Prem. A very different style of play, obviously under Russell Martin, isn't it? If they can really get competent at it like Burnley did under Company, then there's absolutely no reason why this guy shouldn't be getting 25, maybe even hitting close to 30 as he did under us. We tried playing a similar style that season. Obviously, it didn't work out for us that COVID season, but he did get the goals. And even though we finished in 15th, he did finish on 28 goals with us, I believe it was. So the sky's the limit, really, this season. Obviously, he's not took that move to Ipswich. 8 million was it for him? And I think, it's a no-brainer really staying at Southampton if you're going to pick between the two.
Yeah, and next up for Southampton, they've got QPR at home, so could be in for a field day for Adam Armstrong. And this guy, I put him up there, of course, Che Adams. Might not be getting the start, but with the similar sort of effect as Conley, coming on, being the super sub and nicking a couple of goals as well. So I've put him in the spotlight. Again, he might not be here to actually take the award, with Everton looking at him. So for me, I think he's the one that's stealing the headlines a little bit at Southampton. Of course, opening day against Sheffield Wednesday came on with the winner. Plymouth, I think he got the winner there. So his contributions, might not have been. Well, they've been majorly important for their start to the season. Not necessarily putting in the miles as Adam Armstrong or Nathan Teller, but definitely getting the goals. And again, when you told me about 18 minutes per goal for Conte, I had a quick look at this guy's. It's definitely not as, it's nowhere near that crazy figure. He played 144 minutes over the course of the 3 games, and scored 3 goals as well. So he started once, benched twice, but 3 massive goals that put him in the spotlight. And again, right now you're looking at your Adam Armstrongs, you're looking at your Che Adams, and you're looking at even your Nathan Tellers as well. Big time players, all, even you would say that Tellers probably too good for this league. Definitely this guy's too good. Adam Armstrong, didn't really settle in his first couple of seasons. Was it 2 seasons now he's been at Southampton? I don't know, but he hasn't really exploded to life there. I think Adam Armstrong needs this season to maybe kick on again. Like Ivan Toney really blew this division away and then kicked on the season in the Premier League, whereas Adam Armstrong, he blew this league away. Didn't really get the luck that he wanted over in the Premier League, but I could see these both. Well, if Che Adams was to stay, I could see them both up there banging in the goals. And again, if he does go, this guy does go, it's just going to strengthen the case for Adam Armstrong to really get the goals. But again, just shows the amount of quality in this league that we're screaming out for a striker, and there's teams that have, they're spoiled for choice, and he is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think Che Adams probably will find himself getting that move to Everton. I mean, he is a guarantee, 10, 15 goals or so at Premier League level. He just has more of the stature and the build for the Premier League than Adam Armstrong does for me, I think. But yeah, too good for this league, and impressive obviously coming on and getting that goal against Plymouth, showing his quality and showing he really is too good for this league, to be honest. The last time he was here, obviously in the Championship, he did a really good job, and I think he'll be on his way, if you ask me.
I think that is our picks for the Player of the Month. And again, we will find out if there's any more. No, there is no more. So again, let's just see if we're lucky enough or wise enough to read the minds of the EFL panel. But also, let's see if we can read our minds of the future matches, of course, coming at you this week. Hang on a minute. Got that all over the place. Got them revealed. This coming match number 4. So that's, of course, next on the docket. And we're going to start, if I can get ready, I want to make sure I can see all this stuff. Coming at you this coming Friday, Hull City, Bristol City, all eyes on this one on Friday night. You have got, again, I'll reveal, it makes it easier, 2-1. You got a 2-1 win for Hull. Were you that impressed with them this past weekend to see that they will ride on through into the back end of this month with another win?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I weren't overly impressed, I suppose. I mean, against 10 men, they did make hard work of us. I don't think that can be denied. They did obviously, run the game, but to go 1-0 down against 10 men, even if they were away, they shouldn't have let that happen. And obviously, they did put us to the sword in the end. But I just don't know about this Bristol side. Obviously, they've slipped up in their last result. Very hit and miss, it seems. And I think Hull are just kind of in a good patch right now. They've got a couple good results, and I just think they'll do the business at home, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've also gone with the Hull victory. Yeah, it's gonna be I think too big a mountain for Hull for Bristol City to climb right now. I think the morale is good. Scott Twine again. a lot of talk was on him, or a lot of focus was on him really for this past weekend. Wasn't really that effective. But a good signing for Hull. I think he never really got the chance to really show the Championship what he could do, and because the players at Burnley were just that good. He was more makeshift. I think he had a major injury as well, but I think he's going to hopefully try to showcase company and the world and the Championship what he could do. But just another good attacking player that Hull have on the books, and I think I'm agreeing with you. I think it's going to be just too much for Bristol City. I don't think they'll blow them away, but I think it'll just be a competent performance. Next up, we have Birmingham against Plymouth. That's on Saturday. I don't think that's a normal 3 o'clock kickoff. I think I can't even see it on the screen here, but of course, Birmingham, red hot, Plymouth, tricky opponents. You've gone with a big 3-1 win. I've gone with a 2-0 win. So we're both siding with the host at the minute. That feel-good factor could push Eustace into the manager of the month contenders, and of course push them into the top 2 if everything goes right.
Yeah, I think if they do get this result, I think he would be in that kind of top 3 for the manager of the month. Whether he wins it will depend on how Ipswich and Leicester get on, you would think. But yeah, I'm predicting a good result, still riding the high. I don't think Plymouth will be, pushed over by any means. I think they've showed they're quite competent at this level for sure. But I think Birmingham, it's just the wrong time to play them, unfortunately, for Plymouth, and going away there at the minute is probably the last place you want to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough old slog there, and just like I said before, I'm very happy that Plymouth are here. But again, flip this game around, and it's at Plymouth. I think they would be more than likely to get something from the match. But I just think Birmingham right now, they're just too much good feelings going on at St Andrews. That 6-pointer right here, of course, Cardiff hosting Sheffield Wednesday in Wales. Just 1 point separate these two sides toward the bottom. You've gone with a 2-1 win for Cardiff. I've also gone with a 1-0 win. Sheffield Wednesday that bad?
Yeah, I was tempted to go with a 1-1 in truth, but last minute I just kind of changed my mind. I think Cardiff at home will probably just have a little bit too much for Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, Cardiff have, flattered to deceive, really. Obviously, they've made a few good signings. Aaron Ramsey getting on the score sheet this weekend. But yeah, I think they will just prove to be a little bit too much at home. But Sheffield Wednesday, obviously, not showing any signs of life, really, are they? And it could and should be, if obviously this result kind of goes the way it does, maybe the first manager casualty going into that international break.
Wow. Oh, wow! Again, especially with the climate, with the Sheffield Wednesday, just not the right club, and if you would flip that around and put a Bristol City down there or Coventry who have not been that sack heavy, you probably would argue against that. But Sheffield Wednesday, with Darren Moore and just the backroom environment just seems a little off, and you could be right. So again, not long to wait till the international break, and I think we could see something. No, I'm not necessarily going to say it's Wednesday, but it could be. It could be at the Riverside. Who knows? I've got Coventry City at Sunderland, the Tony Mowbray derby. That's what I'm going to call this one. He's of course former manager at Coventry. At Sunderland, you've gone with the host. So have I. 3-2 win. Goal fest in Jacob's eyes. I've gone with a 2-1 ball just a steady Eddie home win. But again, Sunderland, that would make 3 defeats out of 4 for Mowbray. Should he be worried?
I think he should. Obviously, all the speculation this summer whether they were going to get rid of him or not. I think obviously making into the playoffs has saved his job. Really, it would seem. I think the fans wouldn't have obviously been too bothered if they'd have got rid of him and maybe gone for a more, I don't know, a more ambitious name, someone who is going to kind of start a project. Obviously under Mowbray, it does seem a bit short term, I suppose. But going away to Coventry will be a hard game. They've had a few. They've had a decent result, haven't they, at Coventry after the Leicester game? But yeah, looking a bit hit and miss. Obviously, getting that draw the weekend just gone at Swansea, wasn't it? Um, but obviously, Sunderland probably the best time to play them right now themselves as well. Obviously, getting a win at home to Rotherham, but a bit of a formality, really, you would think. So yeah, be interesting game this one. I do anticipate goals. I think there's goals in both sides, and maybe Sims can pop up and get his first one for Coventry.
Against Sunderland, where he was on loan. Next up, we have the Gary Rowett derby. It is Millwall struggling. Stoke, of course, Gary Rowett, former coach of Stoke, didn't really work out there, of course. But you've gone with an away day win. I've gone with a home win. They've got to win sometime. The Den is a difficult place to go. But yeah, it's not worked out for them since that opening day. And you've gone with Stoke riding a real good Preston away, and that could also push them into the playoffs with a victory. I know it's still early, but you're back in Neil's boys over Rowett.
Yeah, I am. I think it's the right time to play Millwall right now, and I think Stoke are in a decent patch, aren't they? I mean, they've just got that result against Watford at home. Obviously, had that tonking of Rotherham on the opening day, 10 men Rotherham, that is. But I mean, obviously, the away day didn't go too well for him, I believe, from memory. But yeah, I think it's just the right time to play Millwall. I think, as we said before, there's a bit of a hangover there, and probably the wrong time to play Stoke, it would seem.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we go to the St Mary's, Southampton taking on QPR. Did you go for a shock one or did you go safe? Of course, you went safe. You went with just a 2-1 win, though. Southampton maybe giving QPR a little bit of hope. I've gone for an absolute demolition job, 3-0, and yeah, I wouldn't put my money. I would put my money on Adam Armstrong maybe getting a piece of that pie. But you've just gone with a 2-1 win. Do you give Gareth Ainsworth a glimmer of hope?
Yeah, I think obviously they've come off the back of that result this weekend, what wasn't great, but they had the win before that. I just question with Russell Martin whether his styles really got going just yet. Obviously, squeaked that win away at Plymouth. Obviously, at home, you would think it should be a lot easier. I were tempted to go for a bit of a demolition job like you have, but I don't know. I just think Ainsworth will set QPR up away at Southampton to be really awkward. I think Southampton should break them down, but I think it'll be a tight game. Personally, I think as I predicted with Warnock going away to Middlesbrough and frustrating him, I can just kind of see it being a similar game.
And speaking of Warnock, we have the David Wagner derby now. It is, of course, Huddersfield against Norwich City at the John Smiths, Kirklees, McAlpine, whatever you want to call it, stadium. And you've gone with a 1-0 away win. I've gone with the draw on this one. I'll just give my piece of the pie here. I just think, yeah, Warnock's grinding out some results and again trying to get one over. Well, I would say he's getting one over Norwich, but I think he'll try to outfox the old governor there. Who again? And don't get me wrong. I think Norwich. I think it's a draw is a good result. I know you've gone with the more flashy 3-pointer there for him. And I can see that, but I just think, Warnock's going to try and grind some results out, trying to get this slow train of Huddersfield moving up the table. Yet to get a win, but of course a point against one of these boys would give them life or hope in what appears to be a major struggle. But on the flip side, I still feel this will be a good result for Norwich. It would dampen any manager of the month hopes for Wagner. Who was not in our consideration, but yeah, I'm playing it safe with the draw. But you've gone with, well, I don't know, maybe not necessarily safe, but a victory for the Canaries again.
Yeah, personally, I think Norwich would be disappointed if they didn't come away with the win. I predicted a 1-0 win when Leicester went up to the John Smiths, and got that right. So I'm just expecting a similar sort of game. I can see Huddersfield sitting in frustrating. I think Norwich will just have too much quality again. Probably the wrong time to be playing Norwich, third in the table, and probably the right time to be playing Huddersfield too. Obviously, as far as I know, anyway, not too much business still really going on there. Only got the Souths couple of weeks left now, haven't they? But yeah, I think they'll just go there. Be frustrating against Huddersfield for sure, but I can just see him having too much quality and doing the business.
Yeah. Next up, I think we are right on cracker here. Of course, Ipswich Town flying high, top of the table, up against the Leeds United side, who, looking at them right now, 19th spot, early doors. Just the one defeat, but a couple of draws, but chaos going at Ellen Road. Turn this clock back 4 months. You think Leeds would smash this Ipswich Town side, but what have you gone with here? You have gone with a home victory here, 3-1. You've gone with a big hefty scoreline as well. I've gone with a 0-0 draw. I think again, not really giving Leeds as much hope. But I think they'll get something out of it. Still not great. Definitely not great. But you've gone with a biggie. Explain your logic behind that craziness.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe starting to jump on the McKenna bandwagon a little bit. I'm not sure you're just there yet with the 0-0, but yeah, I just don't see Ipswich dropping points here. Personally, I think this is the right time to play Leeds. They've got so much disrest and unsettledness in the squad with Nomtos and Estra. Somerville's out. I think they've got enough quality there to nick a goal, but yeah, maybe I've gone a bit too high with the 3-1. Maybe a 2-1 would have been more reasonable. Obviously, Ipswich haven't really blown any teams out the water, but yeah, I think at home it's just the right time to be playing Leeds, and just seems to be all going Ipswich's way for me anyway.
Yeah, and again, if you're right, then I may have to drink the Kool-Aid and start to really give this Ipswich Town a lot more credit. Meanwhile, another one of my pick for outsider manager of the month, Preston take on Swansea. You've gone 2-0 win for the Nobbers. I've gone with a 1-0 win, which would at least back up my case for Ryan Lowe to be in that discussion. Yeah, are they the real deal?
I'm not sure if I'm not sure if they are the real deal, but they've got a good couple of away results there for sure. Can't be sniffed at, and yeah, an easy game on paper for me anyway at home versus Swansea. I think it should be pretty routine for Preston. Um, but yeah, just grinding out results, aren't they? So I can just see a 2-0 routine win at home for me.
Yeah, and Swansea, not really. I think you had them struggling in your main prediction, if my memory serves me right. So they're not really they're nicking a couple of draws, but yeah, yet to really burst into life. Yates has got at least a goal, maybe two. What we got next? Of course, Rotherham against Leicester. I think we must surely both be on the same track here. I've gone with a big 3-0 away day victory, even though Rotherham a little bit unlucky against us, and I think they lost to Sunderland yesterday, so they're proving to be difficult to beat. I think Leicester will have too much in the tank. We've given them a little bit of hope. 2-1 loss still, and again, if Leicester are to be victorious alongside Ipswich, it'll appear to be a 2-horse race for that manager of the month gone. But you're backing Leicester again, 2-1.
Yeah, I think they should do the business up at Rotherham. As you've said, they've proved not to be pushovers by any means. I know the opening game was 4-0, but they did have 10 men, to be fair. Obviously, they were on course to win the game against us, and then obviously the Mike Dean's had to go apologise, hasn't he, after the sending off in that second game. So they can count themselves unlucky, really, there. And then losing 2-1 at the Stadium of Lights. So they've proved they're not the whipping boys by any means. I think there's still maybe some hope at Rotherham for this season, but I mean, Leicester on a roll right now, aren't they? And they should be looking at this game and thinking 3 points. And I think there is a massive gulf in quality between the two sides for sure.
Well, also I talked about Ipswich being against Leeds being probably the game of the weekend here. We got a bit of a zinger here. West Brom against Middlesbrough, and being the final game of is it the final? It's the final game of the. It's not the final game. It's the final game of the month, but not the final game before the international break. I think it's one more, but God, I don't know when. I'm actually going to bring them up right now on my screen. Middlesbrough. When is their first victory going to come? What have you gone here? What have you gone here? You've gone with a big 3-0 win for West Brom. I've gone also with a 2-1 win for West Brom. And on the horizon, what are we looking at here for Middlesbrough after that? QPR at home. QPR at home before the international break. So potential for a bit of lifeline, but lose this one, oh my gosh, surely there's going to be a little bit of twitchiness in the boardroom at the Riverside.
Yeah, I think if this may not be the game, but if they were to lose that game at home against QPR, then that could be the nail in the coffin. But I mean, West Brom away is not a gimme by any means, but I just think it's the right time to play Middlesbrough for West Brom. West Brom have had a couple decent results, haven't they? And I just think at home they should do the business against the Middlesbrough side, but just haven't got going and just feeling a bit sorry for themselves, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at that now. So if they trip up against West Brom, which we both are looking at this as likelihood, and again, if they have a nightmare against QPR, and if that was the case, I would think more than likely consider that he would be in the danger zone of getting sacked. The first match after that is with a new manager, probably Blackburn Rovers. Bloody hell, new manager bounce. So it looks if we're creating a script here, a movie script, it looks like that it's heading down that path.
We always seem to wind up getting the new manager bounce games, don't we? So the writing could be on the wall for Carrick, it seems.
Of course, and that's another segue perfectly. It's the final game on Sunday, early kickoff. It is Rovers going to the Vicarage Road, and you and I think we both got the same one here. Going with a draw here, 1-1. There were some signs. We were. It was. I've seen a lot of stuff after the game about people slamming Rovers for the defensive display. But they were giving. I thought they gave it a good account of themselves of being down 10 men for so long. And I thought Travis played out, ran himself to the ground. I thought I would have subbed him off about a bazillion times because I just thought he's ran so hard. But people slamming the defensive displays, and fair enough. But when you're down to 10 men, you're pissing in the wind, or you're walking up a bloody mountain. There's that much extra ground you got to cover. So I thought Rovers held themselves well. I know we didn't get anything out of it, and I knew once we took the lead against Hull, I thought we're not going to win this game. There's no way we're going to win this. There might be a hope that we can get a draw, but I thought before Gallagher's goal, I thought we were going to lose. It was so long to hold back with 10 men. So I give Rovers a bit of a pass for this past one. And I think right now, fortunately, Watford have hit the skids a little bit. I think there is still a side in there. I still think they'll be in the top 6 towards the end of the season, whether or not Ishmael will be in charge. But I think right now we might be playing at the right time. However, headaches. There's going to be a headache for JVT, for left back perhaps, but all in all, I think we did all right, considering we got nothing out of it. You were there.
Yeah, to be honest, to me, it didn't feel like a loss. I mean, obviously, we did lose, but I mean, I think we put in a really good account of ourselves. I don't think any player left anything on that pitch. They all worked their asses off, like you said. And to play 80 minutes with 10 men and take the lead of all things, I know obviously we chucked it away, but it's to be expected almost, isn't it? I mean, a pretty much instant response from Hull, and then we got so very close again. I mean, Ennis hits the post, and then there's that goal line scramble where Ennis headed it and it's cleared off the line, and an instant response after that. Just another kick up the arse for Hull, it seems. But yeah, the second goal in particular was disappointing. It's just a big hoof up the pitch, straight down our throat, and Connolly's for a one goal. Equally, the red card as well is a goal kick straight down our throat, and it puts Pickering in a position where he has to either let him through or take him down. And obviously, he decided to take him down, and instinct kind of kicked in. So, cause for concern there, really, that it's that easy to kind of just play through us. But I think with Watford at home, obviously, there won't be those counter-attacking opportunities as there is at Ewood Park for an away side. So I can see a 1-1 draw. I think obviously they're coming off the back of that result against Stoke, so they may get a response. But I think, as I said, it doesn't feel like a loss. So I think we should go into this game full of hope. Really, I can see it being Britton at left back, and that's not a bad replacement to come in by any means, is it?
No, no, and yeah, it would be, I think, a good result on paper. But if you and I are correct, this is what the tables will look like. Of course, yours is on the right, mine's on the left. I'd have Leicester top with Southampton second, the Brummies, Ipswich, Preston, and then Hull in the playoffs, going down Middlesbrough, Rotherham, and Sheffield Wednesday. You, on the flip side, have Ipswich and Leicester remaining 100%, with Birmingham, Norwich, Preston, and Southampton in the mixer there, with Rotherham, Middlesbrough, and Wednesday going down. So both you and I have kind of similar sort of bottom sixes here, give or take. And yeah, mine has Southampton the biggest movers, with Ipswich taking the not a knee, but just not really kicking on from whatever against Leeds. I think Leeds will nick something from it, but we'll see. But that's what we think. Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below. And of course, make sure you give us a like and subscribe to the content. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up match number 3, and of course continue the build up for match number 4?
No, just be interesting to see how obviously the two unbeaten sides get on. Obviously, depending on those results, will kind of factor into who gets manager of the month, it would seem. But yeah, another interesting week and another interesting week to come, and it'd be good to catch up obviously next week and see what's what.
Yes, indeed. All right. So till then, guys, subscribe, smash the thumbs up, and we'll catch you next week right here on the EFL's finest podcast. Until then, we're out. Peace of piss. All right, let me press stop on all these things here. Stop here.